Ruben Amorim will certainly be happy with Manchester United's drama-free 2-0 win against Sunderland, considering Lamens earned a clean sheet on his debut, and Šeško once again found the score sheet. Now this was a much-needed result, and honestly a great response from the lads following a tough week of scrutiny. Let's talk about it. That was a good result for Manchester United, a comfortable 2-0 scoreline backed up by a good overall team performance. Obviously there were a bunch of standouts today. Mason Mount was great. Lamens on his debut looked really secure, really solid at the back. But I thought Manchester United just overall, the communication today was much better, miles better than what it was at Brentford. And I could just see that the players were on board with what Amorim wanted them to do, the instruction, the way that they were passing, the way that they were getting into good positions, the way that players were tracking back to help defensively. I thought everything was cohesive today for the most part, up until obviously around the last 10 minutes of the game, where I thought United could have done a little bit better to see out the game. We still got the clean sheet, which is all that mattered. And we'll talk about Lamens in a little bit. But first, I want to start by talking about Mason Mount, because the most controversial moment leading up into this match was Mason Mount starting over Matheus Cunha. And a lot of people were shocked by this decision. A lot of people didn't agree necessarily with leaving Matheus Cunha, your new signing, on the bench. But Mason Mount literally shut up every single person, the critics, the fans alike, within the first 10 minutes. I mean, the reason he came into the side for this particular game was just the organization that he brings us. He's just so much better in terms of organizing the team on both sides of the ball. His defensive contributions cannot go unnoticed. In this game alone, I think I saw about 2 or 3 defensive contributions from Mason Mount where he was able to track back, he was able to fill in gaps, he was able to kind of make it difficult for Sunderland to progress out of the back. And that's what you want to see from someone who's playing as an attacker. I mean, he's coming back to help his team, which then in turn help us get on the transition to go out to Amad Diallo and Mbeumo, who were absolutely fantastic. Now, aside from Mason Mount, there were a few standout performers. Obviously, Benjamin Šeško getting on the score sheet. Amad Diallo was running Masuaku ragged on the right-hand side. Mbeumo was good as well. I thought De Ligt had a really strong game as well. Luke Shaw was pretty good. He was quiet, but he just did what he had to do defensively. Casemiro was another one who brought us a lot of composure in the midfield. And while Casemiro doesn't have the physical traits that you would necessarily like long-term, I mean, I thought today he showed a real composure on the ball. He was able to find himself in areas of spaces where he would drag out the Sunderland defenders, play a quick ball, and we'd be in. We'd have space to attack. And I think that's the difference between him and Ugarte. Ugarte is supposed to be that destroyer who limits space. Casemiro finds the space, which I thought was really good. It was good for us today. I'm sure I've put up some clips already about it, but I thought he was good at just getting himself into areas where he could quickly lay the ball off to an attacker. And it got us into positions. I mean, that's what you want. You want your central midfielder to be able to get on the ball, quickly find an outlet, and boom, we're the ones with the advantage. So I thought Casemiro was brilliant in that regard. Another player who didn't have too much to do today, but was brilliant when called upon, was Lamens, our new Belgian keeper, who I thought just looked so composed on the ball. I knew immediately from his first couple of touches that he's both-footed. He showed some real bravery today with some of the long balls that he attempted, and it got us into some pretty promising positions. But I noticed a couple of times throughout this game that he did this little shuffle, this little double touch when he was on the ball that got him the ability to create space on his left or his right. It's like this sleek little double touch that he does. I'll put it up now, but I'm going to label it the Lamens touch because I've never seen a keeper do this consistently to the point where it creates the space for him. I thought his first touch was really tidy today, but using this touch to get the ball onto another side and find options that way is really cool. And it's nice to know that we have a keeper like Lamens who can play good balls out of the back when we're under pressure, or even when we're not under pressure. His distribution today was pretty decent. A few of the balls, and I'll put them up now, a few of the balls that he played actually got us into promising positions. I thought Šeško's hold-up play from those balls was pretty good. Overall, I thought today was just professional. It was a professional showing for Manchester United, something that we haven't seen too often, especially since the start of the season. In preseason, I thought we showed more of a professional outlook. Once the season started and things weren't going our way, you could tell some of the players just weren't doing enough. They weren't doing enough. They had become complacent. Today, there was no room for complacency. I thought the players did well to get a 2-0 advantage going into halftime because we've seen in previous games this season where we start the game on fire, we have all these chances, but we only go into halftime with a 1-0 lead. And that is kind of scary, knowing the amount of mistakes that Man United make. But today, we were solid all around. I really cannot complain. There were some things that I saw, and it's not going to be perfect. Ruben Amorim himself in his post-match press conference even said, There were parts of the game that we didn't play particularly well. There are moments in the game where I thought we could have been more clinical, which is something that always just bothers me, is how lackluster we are sometimes in front of goal, whether it's creating chances or actually taking those chances. But then there was a few moments, not too many, but there were a few moments where I thought we looked a little bit exposed at the back, and that's not necessarily because of the system, but just because the personnel didn't track back. Whoever it was wasn't really trying to do their defensive duties, left us a little bit open. But Lamens and the rest of the defense, Euro and De Ligt and Shaw, they did well to usher Sunderland, kind of render them useless. And we'll talk about that. Well, let's get into it right now. So first, let's talk about some of the things that I saw today that were great, that Manchester United really need to build upon. I thought the off-the-ball movement was excellent. It was stellar. Mason Mount, Casemiro, Bryan Mbeumo, Amad Diallo, even Šeško, making runs, creating space, taking players out of the game and creating space for us. That's exactly what Manchester United really need. The first goal is a prime example of that. Casemiro finding that space, getting the ball into Amad Diallo. And what I love about Amad and Mbeumo, two players who are very similar in the way that they play, two players who are very similar in the way that they think. So because Amad Diallo and Mbeumo are so similar, they both help each other in this situation to take players out of the game. First, it's Mbeumo who creates the space for Amad Diallo. Once Amad recognizes that he can't really do much from this position, he gives the ball back and makes that run into the space that Mbeumo had just occupied, and that gives Mbeumo a lot of time to cut in and look for a pass, and he delivers such a beautiful cross into Mason Mount. I'm not entirely sure if Mount was who he was looking for specifically, but because Mount had so much time at the edge of the box, perfect. And he takes a great touch and slots it coolly into the back of the net. So that off-the-ball movement, getting into these areas, confusing the Sunderland back line. I mean, their back line was all over the place in the first 20 to 30 minutes of the game, so much so that Regis Lebris had to make an actual system formation change. He went from a 4 at the back to a 5 to give them more stability at the back because of how, just disgusting it was for Amad Diallo to get in behind, for Mbeumo to cut inside, for Mason Mount to come deep and receive the ball and then spread it out wide. Šeško was playing his part as well, being a nice little deep lying forward, coming back and linking up play. So honestly, overall, it was just good for Manchester United. The first goal, like I mentioned, was good off the ball movement. The second goal, just pure fox in the box movement from Šeško to get into a position in and around the 6-yard box, to threaten, to be a nuisance. I mean, he's a target. So I'm sure the long throw was initially aimed at him. And look, it doesn't matter if it's luck or a deflection or whatever it may be. If the ball lands at your feet in the box, on the edge of the 6-yard box, in the penalty area as a striker, you gotta finish your chances. And Benjamin Šeško, right place, right time, good finish. Now, of course, I wish Manchester United would have scored 3, 4, or even 5. I thought some of the chances that we created in the first half warranted us to be in a much bigger lead going into halftime. Amad Diallo and Mbeumo were just constant threats on the right-hand side. And I thought that we really should have capitalized on some of these chances. There were just loose touches here and there. There were shots that didn't necessarily go straight into the corner. Credit to the Sunderland keeper. He was making fantastic saves. His positioning was outright spectacular. The chance that Bruno Fernandes had where he tipped it onto the crossbar, brilliant save. Absolutely brilliant save. As soon as Bruno hit the ball, I was literally up in my chair about to start celebrating. The keeper saves it, and I was just flabbergasted. These are the moments and opportunities where I feel like we can be a little more clinical, even in the second half. And Mbeumo had chance after chance after chance to play a good ball or to find the back of the net. There was one chance in particular where he's in a situation where Amad Diallo is on his overlap, and Mbeumo cuts in and he's off balance when he's taking the strike. I can't necessarily sit there and say that he should have passed to Amad Diallo. In hindsight, you would say, yeah, you should make that reverse pass to Amad. He's in a better spot. But when you're a forward and you're a striker who wants to get goals, I mean, you're going to take those opportunities. But this one I'm about to show you, he just simply should have passed it to Amad Diallo. I don't know if there was tunnel vision, if he wasn't checking his shoulder to see, if Amad wasn't loud enough to shout. But this is a simple ball. This is something that we lack. And these were the moments that I talked about earlier in the video where I said we have to be more clinical in our final third decision making. I thought Mbeumo was a little bit off the pace today in terms of that, just based off the chances that I just showed you. But I think overall the team can be a little bit better when it comes to final third decision making. Diogo Dalot had opportunities today to put good crosses into the box. He was awful. Just overall, he was terrible. When Dorgu came on, he had opportunities where he found himself in acres of space, and he had an opportunity to put the ball into the box, and it's behind the striker. And this is what I mean. Just the final third decision making can be better, can make the scoreline flatter us a lot more. 2-0 is a good scoreline. It comfortably reflected the way that we played and approached the game. I thought our approach was positive, but I still think we can be better in these situations, because if there's a team other than Sunderland that we play that might give us more trouble on the counterattack, or might give us more trouble in the air and score a couple more goals, take a few more of their chances, we have to take more of those chances. Great to keep a clean sheet. The past few games we haven't been able to do that, and that's because teams take their chances when they're presented to them. It's not like these teams absolutely break us down and destroy us. We make these individual errors that kind of put us on the back foot. So scoring more of these chances would give us more of a footing, more of an edge. Going into halftime 2-0 up gave us more impetus to actually control the game, and it forced Sunderland to come out. And it kind of allowed us to sit back and be content and deny them real opportunities at goal. So these are just the things that I feel like United can do a little bit better, just a little bit better. Obviously, though, I'll take a win anyhow it comes. I think United played well today. I know it was against Sunderland, but Sunderland have had a good start to the season, and you have to play what's in front of you. It really doesn't matter what you did the last game. Doesn't matter who you played the last game. All that matters is this game right in front of you. Teams can provide shocks, and I'm glad that today Manchester United were composed. They were very, very disciplined and professional in their approach as well. There's a moment, though, that I do want to share with you guys before we end the video that frustrated me a little bit, because for all of the good work that we did today, there are moments where we fall asleep at the back. There are moments where we let players in behind. There are moments where we're a little bit loose in our shape, and I'm not necessarily pointing blame at the system, because today showed that if the players are doing their job, if they're professional, if they're getting into the right areas, they're taking their chances, they're doing the right things, then the system really isn't the issue. And to me, the system really isn't the issue. It's the mentality. This clip I'm about to show you is that mentality side of it. Amad Diallo, this is about I think this is the 89th minute of the game, or the 90th minute of the game. Amad Diallo tries to win the ball back. He doesn't. Instead of him falling back into position, sprinting back into position, and you'll see here that he actually calls for De Ligt to mark his man. But De Ligt is asking for Amad Diallo to come back and run back. And you'll see as the play progresses on, Amad Diallo's jogging. You know, he's not urgent. He's not trying to get back into position to stop any form of attack. And De Ligt now has a 2v1 situation going against him. Thankfully, Laman saved it. But these are the moments where if we're not serious, if we're not focused for the full 90 minutes, we can get punished. Imagine if Sunderland had scored that goal. It would have been a nervy last few minutes, and the narrative would have changed and spun that Manchester United narrowly beat Sunderland, narrowly did this. It would have turned into another one of those situations where Man United need this to beat a newly promoted side or whatever. Narratives can be spun quickly if Manchester United aren't focused, if players aren't giving 100% to the cause. And I'm not saying Amad Diallo isn't. I'm just saying in moments like this, you have to communicate better. You have to give your all. If you're tired, I understand that he's probably tired in this moment. Just run back into the space. Run back into the space, deny them. And if you need that substitution, then call for it. If you need a break, then after the play is done, take a rest. Situations like this where I feel like we still need to do better. Obviously, the chance creation and finishing our chances is the most important thing, because goals wins you games. Defense wins you championships. Right now, we're looking to win games. And I think the more that we can take our chances and get our players confident scoring goals, the better it'll be long term, where we can finally start to impose ourselves 100% on matches. You know, take a little bit more risk. Just because we know players are firing on all cylinders. I think right now, with all the pressure from the media, and obviously the players themselves are feeling the pressure, 1 or 2 goals here or there to build the confidence up, getting a clean sheet to build the confidence up is just what Manchester United need. Exactly what Ruben Amorim needs. And I thought today just summarized the professionalism that we need, the standard that needs to be set in terms of professionalism, in terms of discipline. And there needs to be a standard clearly set for goalkeepers in our squad, because just Laman's coming in, making a couple of saves, claiming the ball, being really tidy in his feet, got a lot of the United fans excited, rightly so. But just the fact that we've been so deprived of the goalkeeping fundamentals and basics to where we're cheering and celebrating with such basic things, I'm just happy with the result. Let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. And hopefully, going into this international break, the players will take a look at this performance, take a look at this game, and work hard on communication, on their positional discipline. And now Amorim has an idea of what players fit certain situations. Mason Mount is definitely the type of player that you want when you want to be a little bit more sure in your midfield, because he will drop back and provide cover. But if you want to be direct, then Cunha is your guy. So we're learning more and more about this squad each game that goes by. I want to know what you guys think in the comments below. Are you happy with this win? Was there anything that you saw that I may have missed? Let me know in the comments below. As always, it's been a pleasure talking to you guys. Talk to you guys on the next one. Have a wonderful day. God bless. Peace.